Scholastic Audio presents Animorphs, Book 34, The Prophecy, by K.A. Applegate, read by Cece Aisha Johnson. An Arn on Earth? Here? Why? That's the question. What's he up to? Rachel wondered. He had to come. Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, isn't coming out on DVD there for, 2 years. He buys up a bunch of copies here, takes them home, makes a fortune. Good grief, Marco. You live science fiction. Why do you want to watch science fiction? Don't be dissing TPM, Marco said. Cool is cool. The whole group was in Bird of Prey morph. It was the fastest way to get to the Hork-Bajir Valley. The night had passed. The sun had come up on a new day. A beautiful, cool Saturday morning. The deep green forest foothills below us, the towering cumulus above. It was almost hot in the direct sunlight, cooler under the shadow of the Mount Everest-sized clouds. If he's hoping to pick up some new slaves in the colony, he can forget it, Rachel continued. The Hork-Bajir are never going to be Arn slaves again. We'll see to that. Rachel wasn't being totally accurate. The Hork-Bajir were never slaves on their home planet. Not exactly. It's not like the Arn made the Hork-Bajir wait on them hand and foot. What we knew of all this came from Tobias, who'd heard the story from Jara Hami. There was a terrible cataclysm on the planet we call the Hork-Bajir homeworld. But in those days, the planet was populated only by the Arn. It shattered the planet's crust and stripped away much of the atmosphere. The Arn who survived needed trees to provide oxygen. Lots of exceedingly large trees. They didn't feel like taking care of the trees themselves. Solution? They used genetic engineering to design creatures of low intelligence who ate tree bark. The Hork-Bajir. An elegantly simple solution for the Arn, who were masters of genetic manipulation. The Hork-Bajir just lived their lives, utterly unaware that the Arn even existed deep down in the impossibly steep valleys. They took care of the trees they depended on for food. They did what came naturally, did what the Arn designed them to do. Then came the Yeerks. The Yeerks didn't see tree maintenance workers when they saw the Hork-Bajir. They saw an army. They made the Hork-Bajir their hosts. They took the peaceful creatures away from their home planet and began using them as killing machines, shock troops of the Yeerk Empire. There's a longer story there, but that's the short version. Rachel, there are some nice thermals today. We have a sweet little tailwind, Tobias said. You don't have to exhaust yourself with all that flapping. Tobias is the expert. Tobias is, or was, trapped in red-tailed hawk morph. He regained his ability to morph, but he's chosen to consider hawk as his true body. Long story there, too. I stretched open my wings and caught one of those thermals. The warm air lifted up my osprey body. A couple of thermals later, I spotted about 20 Hork-Bajir clustered together in the center of the valley. Adults and kids. Seeing the kids was especially cool. They were the first Hork-Bajir in generations to be born into freedom. We circled down from the clouds and landed one by one. All of us demorphed, except Tobias. Toby Hami moved away from the group to greet us. Toby is the daughter of Jara Hami and Ket Holpak. She's what the Hork-Bajir call different. She's what the Arn call a freak of nature. She is a seer, a Hork-Bajir whose intelligence matches that of the Arn themselves. Thank you for coming. We felt the need of your advice. No problemo, Marco said. It was either this or wash my dad's car. The Arn landed last evening in a small Yerk ship. We nearly killed him, thinking he was a controller. He has some sort of plan in mind. We told him to wait so we could bring you to advise us. We're flattered, Jake said, but you don't need us. I do need you, Toby said. I especially need you, she added, looking at Axe. If I understand his goal, we could use an Andalite's opinion. Let's see what he's got to say, Jake said. We followed Toby over to the Hork-Bajir. They moved closer together to make room for us in the circle. The Arn stood in the center. The first thing I noticed about him was his eyes. They glittered like diamonds lit from within. Their intensity dazzled me. I blinked a few times and began to take in more details of the Arn's appearance. He had 4 legs, 2 elongated arms, and a pair of short wings. He was about half as tall as Axe, and his skin was a vibrant emerald green. I stared at the Arn. We'd gotten almost used to seeing alien races. Hork-Bajir, Taxons, Andalites, Howlers. Almost. There was still something unsettling about seeing someone who was so definitely not from around here. And even by the standards of aliens, the Arn was bizarre. He stood, surrounded by 7-foot-tall nightmares, watched by a deceptively peaceful-looking Andalite, a hawk, and a gaggle of badly dressed kids. And he was still the strangest being there. And all the more strange to me because I could see, or felt I could see, a deep, unreachable sadness behind those glittering, unhuman eyes. These are humans, the Arn said, nodding. Yes, I spent a day waiting in orbit, learning your languages. You have many interesting languages, but your biology is not at all remarkable, I'm afraid. 2 arms, 2 legs, a most unstable platform, and entirely lacking in physical innovation. Simple bilateral symmetry for the most part. Yeah, nice to meet you too, Rachel said. What are you up to? What do you want? I am Arn. We know about the Arn, Tobias said. We know your species. If the glittery-eyed creature was shocked at being addressed by a bird, he didn't show it. I am Quafijinavan, he said. The species you claim to know is no more. And I am the last of the Arn.